Welcome, everyone, to the breathing workshop this evening. I'm excited to see some familiar names and faces from other WellSpan programming. If you have never attended a WellSpan program before, I'm really glad that you're here. I hope all of you find this valuable. I am recording this session, so at some point tomorrow, anybody that registered will get a copy of the recording. Additionally, in the email that went out with the Zoom link today, I included all the steps for all of the breathing techniques that we're going to do tonight, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down. I did that already for you. I wanted you to just be able to focus on practicing as we went along. And I also gave you another document with some additional resources on there if you wanted to dig a little deeper into some of this work. So again, welcome. My name is Kim Kreider. I am a health educator for WellSpan in Chambersburg, Franklin County. I'm also a certified registered yoga teacher. Oh gosh, I've lost track. I think I have 650 hours of teaching experience as of right now. And one of the things I love to teach is a mindfulness meditation, and part of that is breath work. And so when we think about breath, which probably we don't very often, because we do it automatically, we don't have to think about it. The only time we may think about it is if we get a stuffy nose, or maybe we snore. Those sorts of things may make us more conscious of our breathing habits. But tonight, what we're going to do is work on what's called intentional breathing. So we are intentionally going to be paying attention to the breath, and also be intentionally manipulating the breath, right? Because we have the ability to do that. We can take a long inhale or a long exhale or hold our breath. So we're going to be practicing some of those things tonight. So when we breathe, most of us breathe about 25,000 times a day. We tend to be shallow breathers. We don't use all of the muscles that are available to us when we breathe. So we don't take deep breaths very often. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about breath work is it's something we all can practice and get better at. It's free, it's portable, right? It comes with us. We can often practice these things, and no one around us is the wiser. So lots of different reasons and situations where breathing will help with things like anxiety, and to help bring a sense of calm. So before we get too far, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, which I know seems awfully early, and I'm going to reshare it. And we're going to just make sure we're all on the same page. So give me a moment here. We're going to pull up this handy dandy YouTube video that's going to walk us through the mechanics of breathing.
Mechanics of breathing. Consciously take a breath and think about the fact that there are 10 different muscle groups working together to make this happen. These muscle groups include the diaphragm and intercostal muscles. The main muscle used for breathing is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped structure consisting of several large muscles, which is sandwiched between the chest cavity, containing the lungs and the rib cage, and the abdomen, containing the digestive system, including your stomach. The muscles that move the rib cage itself are the internal and external intercostal muscles. They are each attached to the ribs and run between them. To inhale air, the diaphragm contracts and moves down, while the external intercostal muscles contract, forcing the rib cage up and out. The combined effect of the diaphragm and intercostal muscles increases the volume of the chest cavity and expands the lungs. This expansion of the lungs increases their volume, reducing the pressure within them, causing air to be drawn in. This action is similar to a piston sucking petrol into a car engine. In normal breathing, we use around 25% of our lung capacity, which is called our tidal volume. As you inhale deeply, the diaphragm moves further down into the abdomen, pushing your belly out, giving more room for the lungs to expand and draw in more air. This type of breathing is called belly breathing or abdominal breathing and is critical to prepare you for your free dive. Belly breathing allows you to completely fill your lungs with air. The maximum amount of air your lungs can hold is called your total lung capacity. With training, you can use more of your lung capacity.
So we have, let me stop share here and reshare my slides. All right, so I wanted to make sure that we had just a brief, plus that British accent's so lovely, and she said it much better than I could ever have done. But now we all have a sense of the basic mechanics of breathing. So we understand that when we're taking a normal breath, right? I mentioned we're shallow breathers, and the video touched on that. Typically, that's about 25% of our capacity, which when you think about it, is not very much. So we're going to focus on building that capacity this evening. And when we're practicing this evening, I want to make sure that you guys know that when we're practicing, not every breath practice tonight is going to resonate with you. You may just not like it. It may not make you feel good. So at any point, I encourage you to stop. You do not have to practice along with me. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of was the importance of breathing through your nose. So when we talk about breathing through our nose, oftentimes many of us are mouth breathers, either at some point during maybe it's exercise or when you fall asleep at night. You may have problems with your mouth coming open at night. Maybe you notice that because you snore. Maybe you have a tendency to have a stuffy nose all the time, so you're always breathing through your mouth. And some of those things we can't control, but what they're finding is the nose is very much like other parts of our body, particularly muscles. If we don't use it, we lose it. But it's like muscles in that if you practice, you can build it and make it, give yourself a better ability to breathe through your nose more often if that's an issue for you. So when we breathe through our nose, we take in roughly 20% more oxygen. So in addition to that, breathing through our nose particularly, there's lots of hairs in there, and all of the nose structure helps clear the air that comes through our nose. It helps heat it and it helps moisten it, which allows our lungs to absorb it better. And then that makes absorption of the oxygen easier. So when we look at breathing through our nose, some of the benefits of breathing through our nose is it can trigger a variety of hormones and chemicals that lower blood pressure and ease digestion. It can also help regulate the heart rate, which you may notice tonight when we start practicing. So as we begin to practice our breathing, when you try to do this on your own, tonight's a little bit different because we're facilitating education, so it's not maybe not quite as peaceful as it would be at your own home or in an office. But when you start to practice intentional breathing on your own, sometimes it is helpful to go to a quiet space where you can, concentrate and practice that deep paced breathing. And the purpose is just to slow our breath, to take a deeper breath, take in more oxygen, and then hopefully reduce the use of certain muscles to help make breathing more efficient. So again, you can have a quiet setting. You may have a particular place in an office or in your home that you go to practice breathing specifically. You can sit up comfortably. I would encourage everyone, even when we're practicing tonight, when it comes to a comfortable position, we always want to make sure that we are allowing our lungs to be able to fill with air. And in order to do that, we need to be sitting up straight. So if we have a tendency to hunch, I'm going to encourage you to sit up tall. Now, I don't mean rigid, but just to bring yourself to a tall, straight spine. If that's uncomfortable, you can always lay on your back. And you can do that now. You can turn your camera off if you choose and lay on your back. If you're laying on your back, oftentimes it's easier to bend both knees, bring the soles of both feet to the floor, take the feet out a little bit wide, and then allow the knees to come in to touch. That takes some pressure off the low back, but allows your legs to relax a little bit. So finding that comfortable position, if you're, seated on a couch or in an easy chair, again, positioning yourself so you're sitting up tall and your lungs have the ability to expand. And then an open attitude. When you start to practice this on your own, distractions are going to occur. Your mind is going to wander all over the place, completely normal. And I would encourage you not to fight it. Just notice your thinking and then just come back to the breath practice. So we're going to move into some breath observation. So when we start to practice our breathing, I'm going to encourage you to do whatever's most comfortable for you. That may be your eyes are open. It may be that you have a soft gaze. You're gazing down the front of your nose, maybe at your knees or the floor, or if you're on your back, maybe you're gazing at the area where the wall meets the ceiling. And you can completely close your eyes and go by the sound of my voice. So what we're going to do now is just observe our normal breathing. So close your eyes, take a soft gaze, and just tune into your own breath. Turn your attention fully to the breath and just notice. Notice what you notice. Maybe you're breathing deeply, maybe you're breathing shallow. Are the inhales and the exhales long, or are they short? Maybe the inhale is longer than the exhale, or maybe it's the reverse. Is your breathing easy, or is it maybe labored? So again, we're noticing what we notice without judgment, without any emotion or creating any commentary. Maybe you notice the chest rises or the belly rises. Maybe you feel ribs expand. Maybe you feel cool air going into the nose and warm air releasing. So release your attention from the breath. Continue to breathe normally. And before we move into our next practice, again, I will encourage everyone to do what you can tonight. Some of these things will come easily to you. Some of these things may be a little more challenging. I will also let you know that we are hitting on the tip of the iceberg for breathing techniques. There are hundreds of them, and we're going to be going over just 4 tonight. I did provide you a 5th practice on your resource sheet that came in your email today. So you can always look into that as well. And I chose the practices that were the most common, that if you wanted to dig in deeper, you would be able to find them quickly. And also were something that it was easy for me to teach virtually, right? So we're going to start our first practice, which is 3-part breath. You may also hear this called yogic breath. It's a very standard breathing practice. I teach it a lot when I teach yoga. And it may help increase oxygen supply. In the YouTube video that we watched, she talked about that belly breathing allows the lungs to really expand and you take in more oxygen. So we're going to be doing that a little bit tonight. And you also may feel a sense of calmness and peace as we move through this practice. So we're going to do this in 2 phases. So we're in phase 1. And so we talked about this. We're going to sit upright in a chair, or we're going to lie on the floor, or maybe you're sitting on the floor. So find your comfortable position. Again, we're sitting up nice and tall, but by no means rigid. Face is soft, shoulders are relaxed. You may even take a moment to roll the shoulders forward and back a couple of times, reversing the movement. Just find a position of ease. And then taking one hand or the other and placing it over the area of the navel. You could use both hands if you choose, up to you. And then we're going to slowly breathe into the belly. So on the inhale, and you can start this whenever you like. On the inhale, you're taking a nice big inhale, and I want you to fill the belly like a balloon. Fill the belly with air like a balloon. So you feel the hand moving up and down if you're lying on your back, or forward and back if you're seated. So we take that nice big inhale through the nose. Belly fills with air, and then a nice exhale through the nose. Same thing, we'll do one more. Inhaling through the nose, filling up the belly with air. You feel that hand move forward and back or up and down, depending on your seat. And then exhale gently through the nose. No need to force anything. We'll try a couple more. Inhale through the nose. Fill the belly up with air. Feel the hand move. Exhale nice and slowly through the nose. You may even gently pull the belly button back toward the spine. Again, not with any kind of force, just a very gentle movement. And then here we go. We'll do one more. Inhaling through the nose. Fill that belly up with air. Big balloon, and then nice and slow exhale through the nose. Belly button pulls gently back toward the spine. Release. Relax. We're going to move on to the next part of this phase. So we're just going to move the hands up. So just a few inches. So and it could be one hand or both hands, whatever's most comfortable for you, right around the bottom of the rib cage. So this time as we breathe, we want to focus on expanding the rib cage. And we noticed that in the YouTube video. So that's where we're going to put our focus, expanding the rib cage, and you'll feel the hands move out and back or up and down again, depending on your position. So we're going to take a nice big inhale and really focus on expanding those ribs. This takes a little bit of practice. If you don't get it, we'll keep trying. Exhale, release. Inhale. Focusing on filling up the ribs, moving the rib cage out, and then exhale through the nose. Inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale, release. Inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale, release. We'll do one more. Inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale through the nose. Gently and slowly release and relax. We'll take a couple of normal breaths in between. And we'll move on to the next part of this phase, which is to move the hand or hands, whatever's comfortable for you, just below the collarbone. So your collarbones, find those collarbones, and you'll move the hands just below the collarbones. And now we're going to breathe deeply into the chest area. So same thing as before, we're going to inhale and exhale through the nose. This time focusing on filling up the upper part of our torso. So nice big inhale, filling up the chest, feeling those hands lift, and then exhale through the nose. Feeling the hands release, the chest release. Inhale, filling up the chest. Exhale, release. We'll do 3 more. Inhale, fill the chest. Exhale, release. Inhale, fill the chest. Exhale, release. Inhale, fill the chest. Exhale, release. Drop the hands. We'll take some regular breaths. Come back to your normal breath rhythm. So that was phase 1. We practiced belly, we practiced ribs, we practiced chest. So now we're going to move to phase 2, which is putting all 3 of those movements together. So I'm going to walk you through it by voice first. You don't have to practice yet. So when we inhale, we're going to inhale into the belly first. So it's going to be a deep breath. We're inhaling into the belly and then into the ribs and then into the chest. And then when we exhale, we'll drop the chest and then the ribs and then the belly. So that's the 3-part breath. We're putting all those pieces together. So connecting all the motions into one breath. So what we're going to do now is one hand or the other, doesn't matter which, is going to go on the navel area, and the other hand is going to go right below the collarbone. So again, take a minute, position yourself again. Hand on the navel, hand below the collarbone. We're sitting up nice and tall. And here we go. And we'll do this 3 to 5 times again. So jump in whenever you're ready. And what I will do is when we're done, I am going to take questions in between each breath practice. So we're going to start now. So take a nice big inhale, fill the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest. Exhale, let the chest release, let the ribs release, let the belly release. Beautiful. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest. Exhale, the chest releases, the ribs release, the belly releases. Inhale, expand the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest. Exhale, release the chest, release the ribs, release the belly. 2 more. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest. Exhale, release chest, ribs, belly. Last one. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the ribs, fill the chest. Beautiful. Exhale, nice and slow. Allow the chest to release, the ribs to relax, the belly to release. And then drop the hands. Come back to your normal breathing. I'm going to stop share for just a moment and take any questions you might have before we move on to the next breathing practice, or comments. How did that feel? Was it challenging? Was it easy? Have you done this before? Anybody that wants to comment? If not, I will. I'm not seeing anybody unmute. All right, so we're going to share screen again. And so we're moving on to box breath. So box breath, you may hear this called square breath. You may hear this called 4x4 breath. I think those are probably the most common names. But box breath is used by Navy SEALs to stay calm and focused during tense situations. It can increase mental clarity and energy. It may reduce physical feelings of stress in the body. It can have a very positive effect on our emotions and mental well-being. And then if practiced, because all of these things take practice, with practice, it can help you in how you react to future stress. So those are some of the benefits of box breath, but also some of the other breathing techniques. They all have some overlap in their abilities to help calm or bring a sense of peace or increase clarity and focus. So when we are looking at box breath, it's pretty straightforward. We inhale for a count of 4. We hold the breath for a count of 4. We exhale on a count of 4, and we hold again for a count of 4. And we repeat that 4 count box for 5 to 6 rounds. And we'll do that now. And then we'll talk about a variation on this particular breathing technique. So take a nice inhale and exhale. And I will do the count for us, so you can just relax and follow along. So we're going to start with an inhale. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release. Come back to your normal breath rhythm. Check in, see how you feel. Maybe you notice a difference between the yogic breath, the 3-part breath that we did first, and something like this, the box breath, that's much more intentional and rhythmic. The other thing, when we talk about variations, I had a certain speed of count. You may, when you start to practice this on your own, have a faster count. So the inhales and exhales and holds are a little shorter. You may have a little bit of a longer count. So that's another way that this varies just a little bit. And you have to find the rhythm and the pace that works for you. And as you get more skilled at breathing deeply, the ability to inhale, exhale, and hold will strengthen over time. So one of the things, and you'll see down here in parentheses, is longer exhales will elicit a stronger parasympathetic response. So I'm going to pause here for just a second, and we're going to give a little bit of education, and then I'll jump right back into box breath. So when we've often heard of fight, flight, or freeze, and that's what we're talking about here. So our sympathetic nervous system, that's our fight or flight. That is typically activated through an inhale, and it's typically activated through the right nostril. when we're talking parasympathetic, that's our rest and relax. And that's activated through that exhale, right? So longer exhales elicit a stronger parasympathetic response. So when you're trying to calm yourself, that long, slow exhale is going to get you there a little bit faster for most people. And that's also the left nostril is what is thought to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So often throughout the day, research finds our nose automatically does this for us. We breathe more through one side or the other of our nose. It's not anything we necessarily notice. So I want to make sure I cover this again. Those long, slow exhales are what activate that parasympathetic nervous system or the rest and relax. So when you're trying to calm, that's the part of the breath to focus on. And so a variation on box breath to relax the body more deeply, and it's especially effective before sleeping, is instead of 4, 4, and 4, inhaling on a count of 4, exhaling on a count of 6, and holding for a count of 2. So that's a variation that you can try and see what that feels like for you. And again, I'm going to stop sharing here for just a moment and open up for any comments, questions, particularly about box breath, or maybe you've thought of a question about 3-part breath.
Hi, it's Chris Allen. I'm notoriously a shallow breather. I would love to get better. So is it normal as I train myself that I feel a little lightheaded and dizzy? Okay.
Yes. And so slow it down. And, when I say slow it down, I mean, you may need to take, we've been doing like 3 to 5 breaths for each technique. You may just start with 2, see how you feel, and then add 1, and then continue that. And you can practice a lot of this multiple times a day, and you'll be surprised how quickly your body adjusts. But it is normal to become lightheaded or a little dizzy. You're taking in a lot more oxygen than perhaps you're used to. And you know what feels best for you and know when you should stop or take a break. So great question.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Anybody else have any questions or comments, feedback about box breath? All righty. I don't see anybody else unmuting, so I'm going to share screen again. And oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead. Whoever Misty, did you have a question?
Oh, I noticed I started taking a deeper draw.
And Misty, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Breathing in and breathing out.
We have a really bad connection, so I'm only catching every other word. I don't know if
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, whatever you just did, I can hear you perfectly clearly now.
Okay. I just said I had a deeper draw in and a deeper exhale out for the inhale in and inhale out. Is that common? So initially I wasn't, I guess, breathing as deep.
Yeah. And
so I just noticed that.
Yeah. And a lot of this, again, we're typically shallow breathers. So hopefully you will be taking much deeper breaths as we practice this. And that's the point of the practice, is to take those great big deep breaths to get more oxygen into the body and bring a sense of relaxation, especially on those long exhales. So yes, you will be taking, if I'm understanding your question correctly, you will feel like you're taking much deeper breaths on all of the techniques that I'm teaching you.
I guess faster is what I was trying to say. It went faster than I thought I was going to do. So you're counting for the 1, 2, 3, and I felt like I was, but not like, it was through my nose. I was going faster than the previous one, the yoga one.
Oh, yes. And yes. Okay. I apologize. I see where you're going now. Yes. The box breath is a much shorter breath because we're just doing it on a count of 4. When we were doing the belly breath, we were taking a much longer inhale because we were filling, I'm going to guess that was probably closer to a 6 count and a 6 count out. So it was faster than the box breath. And we're getting ready to do a different breathing technique that's going to feel a lot slower, probably than the other 2 altogether. So did that help, Misty? Did I catch the question correctly this time?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let me share screen here. All right, so we're going to move on to something called 4-7-8 breath. And it's really just what it sounds like. Inhaling on a count of 4, holding the breath for a count of 7, exhaling on a count of 8. Holding on a count of 7 and exhaling on a count of 8 may be challenging. I will try again. Here's where when you start to practice on your own, you may count a little quicker than I do in order to practice. And that's normal and beneficial. And you will find the rhythm and pace that works for you, and it'll change over time. So if you can't keep up with my count, if you can't hold your breath for a count of 7, I'll go a little bit quicker than I did for the 4 count of the box breath. And it may take you 2 or 3 cycles to get in the rhythm of it. So, and again, that's normal. And I'll give you a warning that we're getting ready to start. This is a great breath to do before bed. It's very deep and rhythmic, helps promote deep relaxation and sleep. So a little bit different this time though, because we're going to exhale through the mouth. And because I'm counting, it makes it a little bit harder for me to do with you on the exhale part. But you want to inhale on the count of 4, we'll hold for 7. And then when we exhale, it's going to be an audible. So we're breathing out of the mouth this time and make that audible whoosh sound. So we're going to start by closing the mouth and inhaling quietly through the nose to a count of 4. And this says a mental count. I'm going to be counting out loud for us. So we're getting ready to start. So go ahead and take a nice big inhale and then an exhale, just a regular breath. And we'll start here. So let's close our mouth and inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, whoosh, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale with the whoosh, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release, relax. So much different feel than the breathing practices we've done so far. So again, I'm going to stop share so I can see everyone, and curious about feedback. How did it feel? Liked it, didn't like it? Have you done it before? 4-7-8 is a more common breathing practice. Some of you may have done it before. Misty, I like this one best. Yes, it's one of my personal favorites. Helpful before you go to sleep. You know, something like box breath, you know, is helpful maybe before you're getting ready to go into a meeting and you need a lot of focus and a lot of mental clarity. Also, you know, it does have an ability to kind of level stress. Anybody else? Like, didn't like? Yep, Lori, yes, you like that one too. This one seems to be a popular one with this group. And that's the cool thing about breathing techniques. There's so many of them. If for some reason, some of the breathing techniques or none of the breathing techniques I teach tonight resonate with you, please let me know. You can email me and I'll give you that here before we're done. There are hundreds of them, literally. So there's something out there that will work for you. One of the things, again, that I'm passionate about with breathing techniques is, you know, burnout and mental health issues, stress, all of those things due to the pandemic and, you know, life, right? Outside of the pandemic, we all have a lot of things going on. This is a resource. Your own breath is a resiliency tool that you can tap into at any time. And the more you practice, the better it will, the better response you'll have. So I encourage you to keep practicing. Let me see what I'm missing here. Yes. Oh, you bet about the tip for using when to use box breath. Yep. And Lori is saying she used both box breath and 4-7-8 breath to get to sleep. Yeah, breathing's great before you go to sleep. All right, so again, let me share my screen. We've got one more to go. Now this one is called alternate nostril breathing. This one's going to take a little more practice, but certainly well worth the effort. Regular practice of alternate nostril breathing may help improve lung function, lower heart rate, lower blood pressure, lower stress levels. Again, some overlap with the other breaths. Great to use before a meeting, an event, or sleep. I like this one before sleep. If you remember, just a moment ago, I talked about the right nostril activates the fight or flight, and the left nostril activates rest or relax. This is a nice balance. We're going right between the two. And so that's the alternate nostril breathing is meant to create a sense of balance. And so when we're doing alternate nostril breathing, you have, I'm going to ask everyone to use their right hand because it's the easiest way for me to teach it tonight. Once you get the hang of it, doesn't matter which hand you use, but it'll make it easier for me to give direction. So you can hold your hand kind of in this Hawaiian hang loose sort of position, or you can have pointer finger and middle finger resting on your right between your eyebrows, and then you'll move your thumb and pinky finger back and forth. I'm going to keep mine down just so it's easier for you to see me. we're going to be alternating opening and closing our nostrils. So a tip for this particular breathing practice is when you're closing off the nostril, try not to press along the entire side of the nose because it's going to stick together. Try to just barely, I know this is hard to see virtually, but try to close from the very bottom on both sides. So you're just closing off at the bottom. That'll help keep the nose from sticking together and making it hard to do this practice. So we'll practice this several times. It may take 2 or 3 breaths before you get the hang of it. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to talk us through it first. We're going to place the thumb of the right hand gently over the right nostril. And then again, the directions are telling you to rest the forefinger and the middle finger here. You can do that tonight, or you can have them tucked in, either one. So we're going to close the right nostril with the thumb and inhale through the left. Then we close the left and exhale through the right. Then we inhale through the right, we close off the right, and we exhale through the left. And we're going to keep repeating that pattern up and down, and I'll talk us through it. So, but we're going to start with the right thumb closing off the right nostril, again, right at the bottom. We'll breathe in through the left. So take a nice big inhale through the left, close off the left, exhale that breath out the right. Inhale through the right, close off the right with the thumb, and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close off the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, close off the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close off the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, close off the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close off the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, close off the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close off the left, exhale through the right. And then release, drop the hand, come back to your normal breath rhythm. Now, one step that I don't want to say I skipped, in some variations of this, you close both nostrils off. In other words, as I switched in between, there's a variation where, and it's on your screen here, where you close both nostrils. It's just a little harder to get the hang of when you do that. So I taught it just continuously alternating without closing both at the same time. So again, I'm going to stop my share. This one was way different. And it feels kind of weird, but it's actually a super nourishing breath practice. And I encourage everybody to give it a shot, give it 2 or 3 tries over the course of several days. And so again, I will take any questions. Anybody have any particular reactions to this breathing practice? I am not seeing anybody unmute. Certainly, and I haven't missed anything in the chat. And I believe I will share my screen again. And up on your screen is my email address here at work. If you have, as you're processing this, if you have questions, concerns, whatever the case may be, please feel free to email me. And I'd be happy to, answer you via email or set up a time to chat about your particular question. Again, I will point you toward the additional resource sheet that I provided to you. If you're a reader, I would highly recommend, and this is on your resource sheet, say that 3 times fast. It's a book called Breathe, The New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor. Again, you don't need to write this down. I emailed it to you. It's on that resource sheet. I included links to a talk by Max Strohm and the Healing Power of Breath. That was a TED talk he did. And then Dr. Andrew Weil leading you through 4-7-8 breath. And then I also included coherent breath as some additional steps for that, including some free apps that you can use, particularly for coherent breath, that offer audible and visual timers. So when I mean by visual timers, oftentimes you'll see kind of a circle that grows and then shrinks at a certain pace, and you inhale and exhale watching that circle. And sometimes it's an audible count like what I was doing here. So I wanted to include as many things as I could. I knew that I have, limited amount of time to walk you guys through some breath techniques. So I'll certainly take any general questions now. We have about 7 minutes left. If you have additional questions, I'm happy to take them. Oops, somebody.
I have a question, Kim. It's Athena.
Yes.
We talked about either sitting straight with our backs erect or laying on the floor, laying down on our backs. I sleep on my side. So as I'm preparing for sleep, is there any reason not to do these things on your side?
You can certainly do them on your side. The hard part about being on your side, and I'm also a side sleeper, you may do the breath practice on your back, and then as soon as you're sleepy, roll over to your side. The problem with side sleeping is everything kind of squishes, right? And it's just the nature of laying on your side. And laying on the left side is a little bit different than laying on the right side, because different organs get squished this way than they do this way. So I would always recommend trying to lie on your back. Does it mean it's wrong to do this lying on your side? No. If that works for you, I would say try it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Misty, I saw your comment. Yes, it is a bit strange. Alternate nostril breathing was something I learned a long time ago. And now that I am fully menopausal, which, wow, that's a great, comes with a whole host of weird stuff. I've used alternate nostril breathing to help try to just keep a sense of balance internally, because so many things are out of whack when you hit menopause. So you are quite welcome. The hour did go quickly. Who else has a question?
This is Janice.
Hey, Janice.
I was wondering, for the exhale, for the 4-7-8, I know you exhale through your mouth. For the alternate breathing, obviously you exhale through your nostrils. What about for the box breathing? Maybe I missed that. And the first one we did we, do you exhale in the box breath through your mouth or through your nose?
Nose.
Okay.
The only time we were exhaling through the mouth was the 4-7-8 breath. All the other breaths I taught tonight would be inhaling and exhaling through the nose.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Kim, I know this isn't a focus of tonight, but I'm kind of curious about breathing when you exercise, and if you could at least maybe give us a tip or two. when
Yeah,
we're doing like
absolutely.
cardiovascular?
You know, I've made a concerted effort to focus on my breath during my workouts, and because you know, sometimes you teach something, you may not always practice it, right? So I've been making a concerted effort as I've been exercising to breathe through my nose and take deep breaths, particularly in the middle of, when I say exercising, I'm talking about strength training. It's made a world of difference. The recommendations, and there's lots of research on this, that breathing through your nose deeply when you exercise, it helps pull in oxygen, and that's what our body need, our cells need, and can definitely play a big part in having better cardiovascular health and fitness. I will say it takes practice. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you're like a runner and you've always been breathing in and out of your mouth, which is something that I did when I ran, and you try to start breathing through your nose, you may only be able to do that for 2 or 3 minutes, and you go back to the mouth breathing. And so it'll take some practice and getting used to.
Is it also exhaling? Are you exhaling through you're inhaling and exhaling through your nose then when you're exercising?
That's the recommendation typically, yeah.
Hi, this is Eileen. I was a runner at some point. And what we learned is we learned to take 2 breaths through, inhale 2 breaths through our nose and exhale 1 breath through our mouths when we ran. That was there. I mean, that's what kind of helped us in training and running in college. So we used to do 2 breaths in through our nose and 1 big breath out our mouths.
Yeah, and you know, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because every one of us on this workshop tonight is different. I can give you the general research, I can give you the general breathing techniques, but really, you have to practice and find what works best for you. We may all have different medications that we take, different medical conditions that we have, you know, different issues with breathing through the nose or through the mouth or with the lungs. And we have to take all that into account when we're practicing anything in terms of new techniques with the breath. So keep all of that in mind. Again, the more we can breathe through the nose, the better it is for the amount of oxygen that actually gets into our body. And if you read the Breathe book, he gets into a lot of the research. Fascinating book. I could do a whole workshop just on that book. Probably many workshops just on that book. So I hope that answers your question, Athena, and I appreciate, Eileen, your giving your experience as a runner at what I'm assuming is the high school and collegiate level.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have any questions or general comments? I'm missing, you're welcome, Carmela. Yes, let me tell you, trying to change your breathing pattern just in general can be a challenge. Then try to change your breathing pattern when you're doing something else, right? Like exercise. It can be a challenge, and it just takes practice. It's something I practice every time I work out, and I will catch myself with my mouth wide open, right? Breathing through my mouth. But I will tell you, I work with a trainer. I'm lucky enough to get to do that, and I make the time to do that, and some sacrifices in order to do that. But I made a concerted effort to breathe through my nose during our workouts. And I didn't tell him what I was doing. And he said, I don't know what you've been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I've noticed that your cardiovascular endurance has changed tremendously. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. So, you know, it's anecdotal, but it does, it takes practice. And even in my hour with him, I find myself going in and out of those deep breaths in and out of my nose back to the mouth breathing that I'm typically, because you feel like when you breathe through your mouth, you're getting a much deeper breath. But it's not always the most beneficial. So, and we are right at the top of the hour. I'm so appreciative that you all joined the workshop. And you are all very welcome. I love doing this kind of work. And as I said, tomorrow I will send the recording out. I will also send a workshop evaluation, and very appreciative if you would fill that out. One of the ways that we continue to do this kind of programming is if it was valuable, and what could we do differently and to make it better. So again, with that, I'll let you get back to your what seems to be a very lovely Monday evening. So maybe you can get outside for a little bit. And if you need any support or have any questions, please don't hesitate to email. That's what I'm here for. I look forward to seeing you in future WellSpan programming. And with that, I will wish you all a very good night. You take care.